Hi, I'm Tom Hardy.
And I'm Andy Serkis, and we are doing the Wired Autocomplete interview.
You really answered those super thoroughly and really fast.
You
have to turn it around and feature it to the camera.
What is Tom Hardy doing now?
Currently, I'm working. If there's a question, is like, what am I working on right now? Currently, I'm doing a film with Gareth Evans for Netflix, which is a kind of police thriller, really uber violent movie.
Yeah, but what are you doing, right now? What is Tom Hardy's accent?
Mellifluous, I'd say at best. It's a collage of places, people, things, feelings. It's irrelevant. If you understand me, that's all that matters. Do you know what I mean? It's a hybrid of wish fulfillment and shame. I think I'm bourgeois, middle class, posh, middle class twat. Really. And I affect it with all kinds of interesting variants in order to make myself seem interesting. Moving on.
What is Tom Hardy like in a real life?
That's a really good question. I've never come across myself. I imagine he's a bit of a knob. Do you know what I mean? But honest. As the day is long.
I know that to be absolutely true.
Hardworking.
Very. Always.
Diligent.
Yep.
Late.
Often.
But
not always.
I'm happy, I think.
Good.
Yeah, and grateful. Very grateful to be alive and to be privileged. And to be sat alongside you.
Oh.
And here with you and you.
Oh. What is Tom Hardy's favourite martial art? Oh, God. Anyway. I
love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Let me know when you finish.
I just want to, finish. And I just want to go and roll and get all sweaty in spandex.
With anyone in particular? Or?
With everyone.
With everyone?
With everyone, yeah. It's such a lovely sport.
Can you demonstrate some Jiu-Jitsu
No,
right
it's
now?
impossible. It's impossible to do it alone.
Show me a grip.
There you go. Look at that. It's really important that if you grip it, you have to put the knuckles out.
Oh, really?
There you go, some of that.
That's actually quite an expensive sweater.
There you go. It doesn't suit you, though. Okay. So, how did Andy Serkis, rip off from this side, get into acting?
How did I get in? Because they let me in. Actually, on my first day of acting, I got my equity card, which of course you needed in those days to get into a theatre, and I was told that I couldn't enter unless I had it in my hand, so they didn't let me into the rehearsal room, and then it was a joke, and I felt really embarrassed.
So you didn't have to have an equity card?
No, it was a joke.
How did Andy Serkis get cast as Gollum?
So I was asked to audition for a film called Lord of the Rings that was being made down in New Zealand, and I said, surely they wanted a voice for a digital character, and I said, surely there must be some really good roles in that movie. Why do you want me to do a voice for a digital character? And then they said, no, it's Gollum, and so I said, okay. So I based it on. I thought, how am I going to do it? I'm going to basically impersonate my cat. So I impersonate my cat coughing up fur balls, and I went. And that became Gollum.
Whoa. That's cool. Okay, so how did Andy Serkis play King Kong? How'd you play King Kong?
I played him on set with Naomi Watts in a gorilla muscle suit. I was on top. I do have the gorilla muscle suit at home, and I was on top of cherry pickers and cranes and so all sorts of adjustable height ladders, so that we could be in close proximity to each other, or I could be at the right height. And then I had a thing called a Congolizer, which was a thing which then projected my voice through these big speakers, so I could sound like a big gorilla. And then when all of that was finished, when we did the on-set stuff and we shot all of Naomi's side of things, then I went onto the motion capture stage for 2 months and did all of Kong's movements. So it was a complex affair.
It's kind of blowing my mind. I need to work with you on that kind of stuff. Okay, so how did Andy Serkis prepare for Venom 2?
There was nothing that could prepare me for Venom 2. Does Tom Hardy speak French?
Not really. I speak really bad French. I can understand.
C'est pas possible.
No, it's possible. I do understand it enough to know what you're saying.
But why would that question be asked?
Because I may have said that I speak French like I say I ride horses and I can ski proficiently and all kinds of things to get work. None of it is true.
Does Tom Hardy,
even though I am honest,
sing always?
I don't sing, no.
You do?
I do not.
You sing in this movie?
That's true. But I'm being paid. But not. Also it's true. Not something that I bring. It's not something that I feel the need to express myself through the medium of.
Is it easy? So you don't sing in the shower? You don't sing around the house when you're making sourdough bread?
Yeah. Sometimes I sing to the babies when they were babies, just so they get to know my voice and they could hear my burr, when they were babies. But now my children say, "Daddy, don't sing because it rains when you sing." So move on, please. It's emotional.
Does Tom Hardy support Tottenham?
I did a documentary about Tottenham Hotspur, but I'm afraid that if I had to support a team, I think I'd fall into the category of where I grew up and what team was the closest to me, and that would be Brentford.
Does Tom Hardy... Well, I mean, we don't have to... like dogs? I mean, what kind of questions?
Yeah, I love dogs. Yeah, of course I like dogs. Yes, 100%.
As much as, if more than humans?
I think it's my gateway to liking human beings, yes, or understanding at least.
Okay.
Yeah, but
interesting.
That's each to their own, right?
A gateway drug to humans.
A gateway of understanding and caring. Yeah, more.
That's amazing.
Of compassion, yeah, 100%.
No, I believe it.
It's less complicated in that aspect, whereas, human beings are not.
Next.
Does Andy Serkis sing?
No, not really, no.
Not in the shower, as you asked me?
No. How dull was that question?
No, it wasn't dull.
No, I mean, not. I wouldn't say like my wife Lorraine sings all day long. She's just like, it's just like if the house is full of song all day long. So actually, I don't get even a word in edgeways to sing. Should I even want to?
Well, maybe it's a touchy subject. Does Andy Serkis have one arm in real life?
I don't understand that question. But I guess that's related to Black Panther, where I played Ulysses Claw, who had lost an arm. But I wouldn't say I was method in the sense that I was prepared to chop my arm off.
Did you have a green sock?
In Black Panther. I had a green sock, because the arm had to then unpeel, as if you like. So I had a sort of plastic rubber prosthetic arm over the top, which then had lines on it, which then unpeeled to become the sonic weapon. But yes and no.
Does Andy Serkis have kids? Does Andy Serkis have kids? Does you have kids?
It does. I have 3 kids, Ruby, Sonny and Louie. My daughter's 23, my son's 21, Sonny, and Louis is 17, all of whom have entered into the profession as young thespians.
Fantastic. They all got their equity cards. Does Andy Serkis play a Hobbit in Return of the King?
I mean, not strictly speaking, although, of course, Gollum was a stour hobbit. So, yes, I suppose you could say he was in before he became emaciated and overpowered by the ring. He is a hobbit. So, yes, in that when he's Smeagol, he before he gets transformed into Gollum, he is a stour hobbit. Stour hobbits were river hobbits, and they lived by the River Gladden. Does Andy Serkis ride motorbikes? No, I had a Kawasaki 125 when I was about 17, but I came off it that many times. It was just it was just not going to happen. I was constantly crashing and sliding and trying to be Evel Knievel at the time.
Probably. Oh, you know, fair one.
Oh, my God, you know what I mean?
Oh, there's more boards? Okay.
There's 4 each.
Oh, Jesus.
Here we go. For days.
What movie is Andy Serkis, I'm going to go this way, right? Directing next. What are you directing next?
That's a good question. We've got a whole bunch of movies that are kind of in development, but what actually comes up for likely to be Animal Farm, I think, is probably the next thing.
George Orwell.
George Orwell's Animal Farm. That is actually currently in the early works of being developed into a movie.
What does Andy Serkis do for fun?
That we can talk about here?
Well, what do you feel comfortable talking about?
I'm massively into climbing. I'm a big very passionate mountaineer. I love being in the mountains. Adore being in the mountains. In fact, I was in the mountains last week.
What did Andy Serkis play in Star Wars?
People know that, so why is that?
Because people Google this, because they didn't recognise you. Clearly, maybe my guess would be instinctively, it's like we watched it, but we couldn't. It was so remarkable as a transformation. He's invisible.
All right, if I say this, might this give you a clue? Have you felt it? That was a line from Star Wars in which I played Supreme Leader Snoke, the character that no one knows where he came from, where he's going to, or what he is, or whatever, anything about him, because he's so mysterious, including myself.
What is Andy Serkis' workout routine?
Okay, I like cycling. I like, as I say, climbing, and I do occasional, and I like walking. I actually like walking every day, very fast, around the heath.
Are you being investigated? Okay, so what inspires Andy Serkis? That's hard.
Tom Hardy.
Oh.
Majorly. Woody Harrelson. Naomi Harris. Kandinsky. Francis Bacon. Miles Davis. John Coltrane. Nina Simone.
They're beautiful inspirations, man. I mean, not me withstanding, obviously.
How did Tom Hardy become an actor?
Yeah, I think I was about 19, 20, and it was when we were auditioning for drama schools and I didn't get in. I was like, no, I need to do that. It's FOMO. I have to. Well, there's nothing else I can do. Nothing. It's an unusual thing to have got into, really, to sort of invested everything on something that was unlikely to work. But there you go.
How did Tom Hardy fight himself in legend?
I didn't fight myself, actually. I fought with Jacob Tamuri, who's obviously a good friend of mine and a brilliant stuntman, and we've been working since Fury Road together, and we cobbled that together with Justin Spencer in a couple of days, and it took us 2 days to shoot, and it was really good fun, actually, and it was over Jakey's shoulder onto me, and then over Jakey's shoulder onto me as he swapped from Ronnie to Reggie as well with me.
Here we go. How did Tom Hardy train for Venom?
I had 2 knee surgeries and sat around, didn't I? I had 2 meniscus surgeries.
And it was just before, literally, not long before shooting. It was
8
unbelievable.
Weeks,
I don't know how you did that.
We just had to do it, didn't I? I tore the meniscus on the first Venom because I wore boxing boots because it looked so cool. And I was like, oh, they look really good. And I really think they would be great for the character. And they were, but they've got no cushion in them. Yeah. So when you're running around on the concrete, I'm old enough to cause damage quick, and that was it. And then the meniscus went doing Jiu-Jitsu. And then I couldn't if I bent down, I couldn't stand up again because they were locked and stuff. It was rubbish. So I had the operation really quick. Just a shave on both, but I had 2 back-to-back 8 weeks before we started filming. And then, so the fighting was a little bit...
How did Tom Hardy do the Bane voice?
That was actually a really cool choice that Chris Nolan. Bane, quintessentially, is Latinx. In many origin of a character, and I am not. So I looked at the concept of Latin and found a character, a man called Bartley Gorman, who's a Romany gypsy, and the king of the gypsies in inverted commas, and a bare knuckle fighter, and a boxer. And he said, when I get into a ring with a man, and he wants to wipe me off the face of the earth, and he wants to kill me. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then I showed Chris, I said, Chris, we can either go down a sort of arch Darth Vader kind of route and, straight, just neutral toned villain voice. Or we could try this, and this I've been thinking of just in case we've got to consider the roots and origins of the Bane, but we could get laughed out of the park with it. It might be something that we regret, but it's your choice ultimately. He goes, no, I think we'll go with it. And that was that. And
wow.
We played with it and made it a bit more florid, and now people laugh at it. Is Andy Serkis Actually, is Andy Serkis American?
Well, it's a little known secret that I'm not. No.
Is Andy Serkis in Venom? Be honest. Be honest.
Okay. No. Actually, do you know what? There is a moment where.
Yeah.
Do you remember at the breakfast table where Venom is tapping Eddie Brock on the shoulder?
Yes.
And you said, "Can you be the tendril of Venom?"
Yes.
So I
cheer up, buddy.
I kind of am in the movie.
You are cheer up, buddy.
Cheer up, buddy.
Is Andy Serkis in Game of Thrones?
Well, look, anybody who watches Game of Thrones will clearly know that I'm not in it.
But are you in it?
Well, I'm invested in it, but definitely not in it.
Is Andy Serkis married?
Very definitely,
I
yes.
can answer that, yeah.
Yes, been together with Lorraine for 30 years now. 30 long, very happy, we've never argued once, years. And we have 3 children, Ruby, Sonny and Louie. And yeah, we sort of still rub along together. Things are all right, you know. Hanging in there. Well, this is going to be, this is dangerous now. This is getting into dangerous territory. Did Tom Hardy actually eat a live lobster?
Several.
Was?
Yeah,
wow,
several.
Really? Did you
I think it's only fair, isn't it? You know, like once I did one in the tank, that I finished the rest of them off because they witnessed. And they're a higher being as well because I didn't eat any of them. They were, it's a high sentient being apparently because it lives off shit and it eats as a bottom feeder and it can subsist on what people don't need. You know what I mean? The lobster.
That's very interesting. Were there not rules in the union against lobsters?
There's no union for lobsters.
Really? Did Tom Hardy ad-lib Peaky Blinders?
Ad-lib in Peaky Blinders?
I guess.
Well, to be honest, Steve Knight is such an awesome writer of dialogue that there is no reason to ad-lib in Peaky Blinders at all. And he always gives me a good 10-page scene whenever I turn up a day. So I can't lie, I do ad-lib as well. I like to go off that and make that.
Particularly on the ADR stage, I've noticed.
I do like to ad-lib, yeah, but based off a solid script. Do you know what I mean? I like to get all of Steve Knight's work in there because that's what should be in there. And it's awesome, but it's just so good. I just like to go off. What's next?
Next is, did Tom Hardy actually fly a plane in Dunkirk?
On the day, like Douglas Bader, kind of like old school,
Yeah.
or in the film?
In the film?
Oh, because I wasn't on the day. I didn't actually fly a plane back in the Second World War.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
But in the film?
In the film, I didn't actually fly a plane in the film either. But everything that I shot was shot in a sort of cockpit seat, hanging over a cliff.
That's amazing.
So you can see the sea in the background.
Did Tom Hardy voice Bane in South Park?
No, I didn't. But I'm glad that somebody did. If they did they? Have they?
They must have done.
That's awesome.
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
it
great
nice
to have your character immortalised in such a fine piece of animation.
I'm reminded that I'm just a collage and fragment of insecurities and neurosis.
But we've established that you are deeply honest, so that's at the root of everything that's important.
Yeah, that's true. And you like to climb mountains.
Exactly. Nothing profound in that. It's been
a pleasure.
Completely.
Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.